Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Thursday, 17th of March installment of the SIG Contributor Experience meeting. I am your host, Alison. It's been a while since some of y'all folks have been on the call. I think it'll be good to do like a round of introductions because we've got some new faces, some familiar faces. We've got lots of folks here. So I'll start off. My name is Alison. I'm co-chair of SIG Contributor Experience, and I'm going to throw the ball over to Avinash.
Hey everyone, this is Avinash from India. I'm a member of Kubernetes community and mostly contributing to SIG ContribEx. You can find me regularly on marketing meeting. Happy to be here, and I'll throw to Chris.
Hey everybody, I'm Chris Short. I work at AWS. I have been in SIG ContribEx for a long time, and I do various things throughout the community, like help on the marketing team, and am the co-chair of Open GitOps. I will toss it over to Josh since he just joined.
Hi, I'm Josh Berkus. I've also been on ContribEx since it started. I do various things, including sometimes running events, sometimes mentorship, surveys, particularly comms, a few other things. Nigel, do you go already?
I haven't gone yet. I can go. My name's Nigel. I'm a community manager over at VMware, relatively new to contributor experience. Been helping out with some YouTube stuff and with hosting the last community meeting. And yeah, looking forward to being more helpful to contributor experience. I'll pass it over to Eric.
Howdy. I hope my audio is okay today, but my name's Eric. I've been on SIG ContribEx for 2 years, I think, and have mostly been working on writing and updating the developer guide and contributor guide. So I guess I will pass it over to Debabrata.
Yeah, hi everyone. I'm Debabrata. I'm from India. Basically, I work with marketing team. Sometimes I write blog posts, and I have been in ContribEx for last 5-6 months. So you could find me in the ContribEx with my name. And yeah, that's it about me. I will pass it to Pooja, I guess, if I name it. Sorry if I pronounce it wrong.
That's okay. It's weird German spelling. I'm Puya. I'm not sure if I've ever been official part of ContribEx, but I've organized or helped organize a lot of contributor summits, starting with China. Looking forward to being part of this again. Passing the ball to Laura.
Hello, I'm assuming we're on introduction time. My name is Laura Santamaria. I'm a developer advocate at Pulumi, and I am the person who is coordinating the monthly community meeting. So that's why I'm here. And I literally came on now because I'm late. So if you haven't gone, can you raise your hand or like leave an emoji or something so I know who to... Eddie. Okay, I'm told to pick Eddie. So Eddie, it's your turn.
Hi, I'm Eddie Zaneski. I'm a developer advocate on the EKS team at Amazon Web Services, and I help lead SIG CLI, which I will be bouncing in and out of this to go to my meeting in progress right now. And I pick, who is left? Anyone? Caslin.
Hello. I wonder if all of my settings are right. I guess they are. I also just popped in. Hello, everyone. I'm Caslin, and I help with the contributor comms group that meets on Fridays. I suppose we'll talk more about that later, though I wasn't at the meeting this week. So Chris and if Deba's here, they'll probably handle it mainly. I also have a meeting that overlaps this one at 9:30, so I'll have to drop off early. But as part of the contributor comms group. I joined to make sure everything is going well in the world of contributor experience. Was I the last one, or is there anyone else?
Oh, I can go. Hi all, I'm Madhav. I work mainly on API machinery. Apart from that, largely on GitHub management and some time on architecture and like the mentoring sub project of ContribEx. I've been here for around 1.5 years, and like it's nice to attend one of these meetings again. It's been a while since I've been here, so excited to be here again. Harshita, do you want to go next?
Hello everyone, I'm Harshita from India. I have been selected as LFX mentee like 1 week ago. So hello everyone, it's my first meet with all of you. Is anyone else left?
I guess I haven't gone yet. So hi everyone, I'm Srikaran. I've been a part of this community for about 8 months or so now, and due to a lot of work issues and stuff like that, I dropped out of contributions for the last month or so. So yeah, happy to be back and happy to see some familiar faces.
And with introductions, I forgot to say the one line before introductions, which is we abide by a code of conduct, which in short means be excellent to each other. And with that, I think being mindful of time, especially, we'll start off with contributor comms, with marketing. So yeah, take it away, Caslin and Chris and Deba, brother.
Deba, why don't you go ahead?
Yeah, so
Unless you're not ready,
this
sorry.
Yeah, so basically we had a lot of comms update this week with the Kubernetes release cycle survey coming up. Thanks to Josh for changing it and updating the survey, and then we had a comms regarding it. Also, yesterday we had comms regarding the officers, and today I guess we will be tweeting about the monthly community meeting that's happening tomorrow. And yes, the new contributors, like Meet Our Contributors blog post for the second part, focusing on Australia and New Zealand region, is out now, both on KDev and kids.io. Marketing, I guess. Do we have anything else, Chris? Or...
I don't think so. We had a bunch of new people last time join us, which was cool. So that's always good.
Cool beans. And any questions from anyone else on the team for contributor comms?
Yeah, so for the blog for last community meeting, y'all don't need that anymore?
No, we do.
Okay.
Didn't you send us a draft? Somebody said there was a draft out there.
Yeah, and I resolved all the comments that were in it, but with the new one being tomorrow, it feels like maybe that can just be a framework for the next one. I don't know, because like the information will probably be
all content is good content.
Exactly. Timing doesn't matter.
Okay.
By the time we get the next blog post out, it'll be next month. It's fine.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, if y'all want to take a look and let me know if I need to add more stuff to it or like change stuff, let me know.
Will do.
Any other questions on the line for contributor comms? Alrighty. Now we will jump up over to events. So office hours. Do we have anyone from the office hours team on the line? Not
David can't
sure.
make it today.
Yeah, David can't. Okay. Action item here is making sure that I sync up with the office hours team. I think it's one thing I'm trying to work on a bit more is syncing with each of the individual groups, like, and being like, hey, yeah. So
didn't it just happen today? Like they just did one, right, Eddie?
They just did one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I should check office hours channel.
How did that?
for-
I'm gonna say, how did that go?
Mhm.
It went well. We had a presentation from SIG Docs, and then we had 3 pretty good questions that we answered. I think the time zone shift messed people up too, because we were kind of light on participants.
We are in that weird 2-week window.
Next up, we have a community meeting.
Yep, that's this Thursday. Only have 1 or 2 topics because I got delayed in putting the call out to ask for topics. Right now, I'm exploring using labels on issues as a way to flag topics during the meeting continuously. We're looking into having a little flag and trying to encourage people to add them to caps and things like that. But this round, we're just really going to be talking about the reliability discussion, the reliability bar discussion from last one, since it was such a popular topic. And what was the other one, Josh?
Okay, yeah. So what I have is, and this is all in the agenda.
Mhm.
So we have 3 things. One is kind of a retrospective on, it's been a year since we changed the release cadence. A second thing on the fact that we are moving from beta APIs being turned on by default to beta APIs being turned off by default. And I don't think that's a change that most people are aware of. Because certainly I just noticed it when one of the follow-up PRs went in, and not when the original PR went in. So that seems worth discussing. There's some good reasons for it, but people need to know about it. And then finally, the ongoing reliability discussion. One of the minor items that we have on the agenda is I wanted to update people on the contributor summit. Pooja, are you going to be able to do that? Okay. And just
Yeah,
let
I'll be
people know
there.
that it's going on and what kind of sessions we're going to have, or
Sure.
where they can apply to use the space, whatever it is. Okay.
Will do.
So it's there, but one of the things that's brought home to me more is that we need a method of, we need to be getting content for the community meeting sort of continuously, and it needs to not be dependent on whoever's going to be the next meeting host. Because if we do that, we get into the cycle where we're looking for a next meeting host. We don't get them until 10 days out, which means they don't even start looking for content for the meeting until 10 days out. And the only reason why this one is kind of working out is because it's me. But if we'd actually succeeded in recruiting like a person who's relatively new to ContribEx for hosting it, they would have been kind of lost. So tags and issues is good, but we're looking for other ideas on how can we grab stuff from the community that should be discussed in the community meeting, or get people to suggest stuff to us from across the community on a sort of continuous basis.
Right, and just as a note, we have tried forms. There is a Google form that's been attached to the calendar. I've been posting it in various channels. No one wants to fill it out. I know we talked before about having a GitHub form. If they're not going to use the labels, I don't know that they'd use a GitHub form either. And also it does still require people to be comfortable enough in GitHub. So, I mean, there's been a few different attempts at trying to fix this problem. So still suggest ideas, but this has been a long running issue, I think, especially now that we're no longer doing it based on each SIG is required to show up at some point, now that it's actually based on just topics of discussion. So Just a note
So-
on that one.
Yeah, just like thinking off the top of my head, like kind of some ideas and things like, so we've got kind of like, maybe we need to define some kind of roles around the community meet. I'm kind of I feel like I'm a little bit out of touch, which is on me. I should kind of understand what's going on, but maybe. So from my understanding, we have a host, and is that correct, Laura?
Yeah, we have a host, the whoever is running the Zoom, and then we have ushers. The ushers are there to help with code of conduct, making sure questions are heard, things like that. The Zoom person is there to make sure the recording gets started and make sure the recording ends, and making sure anybody who has questions around using Zoom is there. And then obviously the host is just making sure the actual discussion goes smoothly. So making sure to call out people who might need to be heard a little bit louder. If there's somebody who's kind of dominating the discussion, kind of coming in and just saying, hey, let's give everybody else a chance to speak, stuff like that. So that's the 3 roles around the meeting itself. Traditionally, before, when we had the SIGs, the host was the one who reached out to the SIGs, make sure they were ready, things like that. That was on the host for each month, but at least they knew what topics they were going at, and the chairs should have known that we were coming to talk to them. We've been trying to figure out a better way to make it so that the hosts aren't necessarily the one having to come up with the topic of discussion, especially since in the past, all of the hosts have been new to the project, new to a SIG, new to everything. And so they don't have the connections into various SIGs to ask for help. So over the past few times we've tried to do it, Paris has been really helpful in helping me find people, just because, I've been posting in the various channels, things like that. And various people say, oh, I know so-and-so, I can reach out to them. But crowdsourcing it over time, from all of us saying like, I'll help the host with this person, I'll help the host with this person, isn't necessarily going to get us a good process in the end. So.
Yeah, I think there might be room for defining a role around this where it's kind of, curation of like topics, like so then host kind of is rotating, and it can be like someone who's new to the community, and then we have like a curator role who could potentially be shadowed by like the host and all that. So like this role of this curator would be like to go would be someone who's already familiar with like folks in the community, and they'd kind of be approached by like the host is a shadow, and then like the curator would kind of bring the host into like these conversations so that like they can understand that, and then next meeting, that host that was for that meeting, they like know some people and can potentially curate the next one. So that's just something from the top of my head, kind of based on a lot of like the comments. Like Paris has been giving like really good assistance with helping out, like with a lot of kind of things on the similar lines around the SIG. So yeah, what are other people's thoughts on the topic?
Nigel has his hand up.
Oh, Nigel.
Yeah, I think that, if we're expanding the host responsibilities to include like, kind of helping gather some interest for the next meeting or next topics, I think that can work. I am wary, like Laura mentioned, of adding another form sheet issue thing that's there. But if we have people who are particularly active in monitoring Slack and seeing threads or like conversations that kind of run long, it might be good to be plugging like, hey, this is a good issue to bring up. Or like if we had a designated space, maybe not creating a new channel, but like maybe some other way to annotate that, like, oh, hey, this would make a really good like community meeting topic in the Slack, because that seems like where most of the communication is taking place anyways.
I think Slack is probably, I think Nigel's right, Slack is probably the way to go here, rather than the form and stuff that we have. I think part of where we need to get to is that, SIG leads, contributors, et cetera, need to feel that if they need to reach a large portion, the community outside of their SIG, that putting something on the agenda in the community meeting is the way to go, so that it's not a matter of ContribEx searching for topics, but a matter of people sending us saying, hey, I want to talk about this at the community meeting.
Sure.
It'll obviously take a while to get that way, but we should,
I think both is great, but I think just like as a kickstart, then people kind of get used to, oh, hey, this is getting, like certainly letting the SIG leads know, or the people who are doing stuff for each like place. Like I'm sure they already do know, but reminding them, because people forget, like, hey, we need topics. So like a call for topics, I guess, to sign off, like, any of the communications that we're having with SIG leads.
Yeah, I'd say that one of the things that I know is happening is that we'll post up to the chairs and tech leads channel. We'll send something out in that kind of email thread, and they're already kind of a little overworked, in the sense of like a little overstretched. So I feel like trying to get them to hand raise is going to be a long uphill battle, I think. So the more we can get just the community saying, I want to talk about this at the community meeting, I think that's where it would be really helpful. And I do agree that getting that on Slack is probably the best spot, since everybody is talking there. So like if someone is in a channel for another SIG and notices something that they think would be a great cross-cutting discussion, bringing it up and trying to get the SIG itself to be interested in talking about it, because the expert doesn't have to be the lead. It doesn't have to be the chair. And I think a lot of people seem to think that. So maybe we just need better messaging around what's expected.
Yeah, I mean,
and oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead, Nigel.
I think just like as we have more of these regular community meetings and like examples of like, oh, that could be me talking about this thing, that perhaps other folks, like when they start to see themselves like in the meetings, it'll feel less of like I'm not important enough to Kubernetes to talk in a community meeting. I think that part of it is just like some of the groundwork that we're doing now. And then like, if we're able to get folks like to kind of grassroot it from like the folks that are here, to say, hey, like can you bring it up in a community meeting?
Yeah, I mean, really where I'd like to get to is things like, I mean, take for example, this, beta off by default PR, right? Is what we'd like to get to is the point where when somebody is writing that PR, they say, oh, hey, this should probably come up in the community meetings. And they send a note to someone.
Yeah.
And not, because the problem is that if whether it's us or whether it's SIG leads or whatever, if we're asking people to collect ideas after the fact, then they have trouble thinking of them. If we're going to do this on Slack, is there a reasonable way to do this that doesn't involve adding a new Slack channel? I mean, we can add a new Slack channel, but I don't know any way to tag things in Slack that makes it easy to grab them afterwards.
Could we have like an @ handle? Like, I think this is something could look into on like the Slack automation side. There's like a bot that could exist where you go / potential community meeting topic or something in a reply or something, or I think, yeah, we should open an issue up for this for discussion as well outside of unless there is one already. Yeah.
There's a long running one for rethinking the community meeting. I think it's still actually open. So I can probably add to that, or I can make a new one. I guess the one thing I do want to remind everybody is, this is still, we've been trying to reboot this now for a year, and we're finally getting a little bit of traction. So I'm not surprised that we're not completely getting that traction that we're hoping for. So the one thing I'd be careful of is not flailing too much and trying this, trying that, trying the other. People need to get used to having it there. So just something to keep in mind. If we can add to, I think that makes more sense versus taking away and trying something else. So just as a thought. But I see you've got your hand up. Go for it.
So what I was about to say aligns with what Alison just mentioned around, like, it could be something that we could add on to Slack automation. It would work similarly to how like @handles are synced today, or like okay to test labels are applied today, something like that. Because I've seen this elsewhere as well, where you react to a message with a particular I don't know what it's called, like the Slack reaction thingy, that just goes ahead and puts it somewhere. And it's better to filter it down. It's better to have a bunch of people who are actively involved in the community meeting filter those topics down at a later point, because now we have topics not just after the fact, but also since, as and when they're happening as well. This is all very rough and like off the top of my head sort of thing, but like with respect to helping gathering things and like keeping an eye out, if there already exists a forum, it'd be great if someone could let me know, because I'd be more than happy to help out, because I usually have like a close watch on these type of like controversial changes. So like this is one thing I'm happy to like add more detail in like in an issue. But this is something we could do. Like, yeah.
Alrighty. So let's move on to the next topic, just because we're at the 30-minute mark and we've got a bit to come through, but we can come back to discussion on the community meeting if there's more ideas on the line. So Contributor Summit, we are starting to put things together, and Puya is going to be stepping up as co-lead on the Contributor Summit side for EU. There is a meeting in the ContribEx shared calendar. There are meeting notes, working on putting together the agenda. Feel free to add in, like, if you've got time, add the template in and add what things need to be raised. Going back through the events documentation too as well. I think it's been a while since we've run a Contributor Summit, and it's definitely kind of, this is the second one that we've run after not really running any summits for 2 years. So it's just kind of continual improvement, is what I'd like to say on those lines. Is there any questions from anyone on the line around a Contributor Summit?
Are we talking about having scheduled sessions for this, or is it just going to be open spaces?
I thought it was going to be open spaces.
Yeah, Alison and I talked this morning, and we also thought it would be nice to make it more unconference style and have maybe just one kind of kick-off session in the morning that like wakes people up, a keynote-ish style thing, and then end it with a panel of contributors. So like frame the unconference with like a keynote and a panel. And do like single track plus hallway track to keep it lean for. I don't know how many people will be there.
Yeah,
I'm sure who's coming.
Well, that is the indefinite thing.
Right.
So far, it's looking like it's going to be a lot like LA was in terms of in-person attendance. Because I will tell you that several large corporate sponsors of Kubernetes have not yet given their staff permission to go.
I can't imagine.
And that includes me. I have not been allowed to buy a plane ticket yet. So so I mean, realistically, I would expect a Contributor Summit where we'd be talking about like 40 attendees. like we had in LA.
Cool.
Which is fine. It's a different set of problems. If you recall, in 2019, our problem was how do we exclude people from the contributor summit without being jerks about it? So
yeah, there's a lot of discussion that can be actually kind of had now, like, you know, on that point, like especially when we're trying to grow this event again. I think, yeah, especially like I've been thinking a bit about, can we actually bring back the, like, would there be some value in bringing back the contributor workshop in like in a different style, or just kind of, that's something that we can explore later on this call, because it's under mentoring. But yeah, any other comments, questions, queries on the line for Puya and Contributor Summit and I? And yeah. So next up are elections. Has there been much movement on the elections front in terms of that committee, Josh, or?
No, not yet. I've been kind of overwhelmed with other things. I need to actually submit the PR for an election sub-project charter. Because of some technical considerations, I want to actually move the elections directory at the same time that we upgrade Electo. Because it's going to require some coordination with our infra team. And currently I'm actually supervising an intern who is working on improving the security of Electo. So but I mean, next step is to submit a PR that actually kind of creates it as a sub-project. The sub-projects need to get approved by the steering committee? I've forgotten.
Need to check on the documentation for that.
I believe so.
Yeah,
but it's not like a hard process, I don't think.
Yeah, but I mean, you know, you just have to, who do I have to tag on this is really the question.
Yeah, I forget who we tagged up.
So, yeah, I did ping the list of election officers we've had for the last 3 years as kind of a potential seed group for this elections committee. Because we need people on it and not just me. And a couple of people were interested. So just need to put that together. I mean, fortunately, aside from offering our services to allow people to do elections on demand in their SIG, which is one of the things we want to do, but we're actually waiting on the technical changes to Electo. You know, for main elections, our deadline for this is really July, I guess, because that's when we have to have everything in place for starting the election process. Obviously, we want before that, but it's getting pushed back in favor of things that are severely broken now, like master blocking, which is actually my current on fire item.
What's the time commitment for the election committee members?
It's going to be low. So election committee would basically be doing two things. One is the election committee would be recommending election officers to the steering committee every year. And the second thing the election committee would be doing is basically sort of supervising or GitHub managing on-demand elections for anybody who wants to run a smaller election, since we'll have the ability to provide that. But somebody has to approve the PR, you know. I guess sort of the bigger potential time commitment would be looking at improvements in the election process itself. For one thing, we have an awful lot of unfinished documentation around the election and around the steering committee election. So because like currently the process documentation of how you run a steering committee election is both incomplete, which it always was, and is still largely based on civs. So it needs to be updated and completed and made more clear and followable and a bunch of other things. So that would be the biggest part of the time commitment for this. Would be helping complete that documentation. The rest would be pretty minor. The rest would be, you're looking at, I don't know, probably 5 hours of argument of discussion on Slack in July to pick election officers, to recommend election officers, and a couple hours a month the rest of the year to approve people's, I want to run an election for X.
Any other questions on the line? All righty. Which moves us over to mentoring. Meet our contributors. Paris has left notes here, and that we'll be moving meet our contributors into office hours, and that we might sunset the documentation. We're looking also around playground, GSOC, outreach, LFX mentorship program. We're looking for a group mentoring coordinator. And that's Paris over here. Paris has left a note here, and we've linked the issues there. Sorry. So next, yeah. So check out that issue where we've got the group mentoring coordinator, new role for that. Yeah. Any questions about what we've got so far? Any discussion points around those? I know I just kind of jumped from one thing into another there. Which leads us to contributor workshop. Now, I've been thinking about the contributor workshop a bit. I think it's been a long-standing project where we've tried to do a lot of things with it, and we've tried to make it like virtual. We've tried to do things in the middle of a pandemic when everyone's like got less bandwidth, and I think we need to kind of start with it again, some form or some shape around the contributor summit, but in a smaller kind of scope. And this wouldn't be happening at it wouldn't be happening at EU. It would be something that would happen at NA. And I just kind of wanted to hear everyone else's kind of thoughts on that.
I have horrible flashbacks to San Diego. I mean, bandwidth problems aside, that's like the key hang up in doing it, right? Like we have to figure out a low bandwidth way for folks to do this. And if it's kind of saying like, here's the, subdirectory under the dev site, I think that's okay. If it's, self-paced, that kind of thing.
Yeah, I just thinking like, that's one thing, like with the contributor summit scaling down from San Diego, there's kind of, less new folks in that room, and having in North America, we had in 2021 SIG meet and greet during the main conference. And then I felt kind of, during that time, there was a lot of like clashes between, you know, if you got to do kind of work related stuff or something during that SIG meet and greet, or, you know, your hands are full at the main conference, there's kind of, you know, there's like both places where you have that kind of space where new contributors meet current contributors, right? There is kind of a challenge where if you bring new contributors to the summit, there might be too many people, and if you do it during the main conference, yeah. So I think I don't want to make, we're running a little bit short on time, so we've got 17 minutes left here, and I want to make sure there's enough time for other areas.
We should probably have a meeting about it, to be honest with you, right? Like a separate, the future of contributor summit kind of meeting.
Yeah. So yeah, I will actually, future of contributor summit. I think action item to kind of maybe look into that and a time that we can plan that. Any other kind of questions around you know, actually I think that was the only discussion, to be honest, but any other thoughts or questions online? Yeah. So next week, community management. We need to get the lead moderator going again, right? So we need to get lead moderator happening. So there's an issue in GitHub. I will after this meeting go grab that and link that in here. So any folks here from community management on the line who can chime in on anything happening on that end? So last but not least, we have contributor documentation. Eric's on the line.
I'm here. I kind of slacked off after the last meeting. I was supposed to, I have a bunch of pull requests that need additional reviewing. I think most of them just need like one more person to look at them. So I will, I'm just going to spam the ContribEx channel with like 3 or 4 pull requests that just need somebody to look at them. So I'll do that later this morning. Awesome. Or, you know, later this morning, my time zone. And it's sort of the same with developer guide. I don't think I've touched it yet, but yeah, so I don't have anything to report on this.
All righty. Contributor site. So there is that issue that we had open for moving some of the documentation to kates.dev, and does anyone in the call have a quick link to that? Because I tried to find the link for that earlier, but I could not find that.
I might be able to get it. Hold on.
Oh, thank you very much, Eric. Awesome.
I had to take a call. Did I miss something? Sorry.
We've just briefly gone over contributor documentation. Eric's going to be putting some pull requests into the contributor experience Slack channel later on today. And we're now onto the contributor site, where there was that kind of discussion from the last meeting where we wanted to migrate we wanted to migrate content into kates.dev. Josh has proposed that we expose that content via the community site. And I think general consensus on that has been, yes, we should do that. And now kind of, you know, if that's general kind of vibe. Yeah.
I mean, there's two steps to it. One is just wholesale. Right now, the easiest way to expose the contributor guide stuff is to just move it between repositories. And then there's the bigger issue later on of how do we expose the rest of the stuff in the community repo that ought to have an easy URL to access it. Because I mean, just things like down to, for example, you know, upcoming steering committee elections, the base page for this is the information about the steering committee election ought to be exposed via the contributor site. You know, and does that mean that that stuff stays in the community repo and it gets imported somehow? Does that mean that we copy stuff over? Does it mean that the contributor site repo ceases to exist and actually we have one repo that is both community and the contributor site? I would kind of leave that up to the people working technically on the plumbing of the contributor site as to what makes technical sense.
Who is those people? Who are those people?
This is a great question.
I think I remember like Bob wrote the script that did the copying of things across. And I think, you know, that's something that as SIG chair as well, I need to have more oversight on this because that is one of our areas. It's in the charter, you know, so yeah, follow up item to, you know, here for like getting a bit more visibility in there. Yeah, I will. So contributor site. Yeah. But actually though, is there anyone here on the call who's worked on the contributor site?
I mean, I've made small commits here and there, but it's a
Yes.
US site. And so if you know Hugo and Doxy, I think is what we're using for the theme, you should be good.
Also, I'm familiar with the code base, the Hugo template language and stuff. Yeah, which actual content is in the website, on the website, and which content is on the other website, other repositories like Kubernetes website. So yeah, I know that. Mainly the blogs are on the this contributors website. Everything else is inside the Kubernetes official website's repository, every other content.
So I think with the contributor site, we could in one way, like we could have another script that kind of syncs whatever's happening in the community repo, or we could move the content itself. Those are some approaches, but I think it would be good to gather kind of thoughts and ideas async on an issue over there. I don't know, what are people's thoughts on that?
I mean, I think one of the biggest issues is just the level of difficulty in knowing where to go to make updates to the contributor site. So it could be, some of this might be able to be fixed with some documentation, but I'm not sure.
All right. And so yeah, I think we've got about 7 minutes left where we've got a GitHub management. It's usually Bob, Nikita, and Christoph. I haven't had the opportunity to sync up with them about what's happening on that. So we'll skip over that. And which leaves us last but not least to open mic and discussion. So is there anything else folks would like to cover? Anything that we haven't got on the agenda of this call? so we've got swag ideas for owners just linked down here. So right here we've got you know, one of the things like that's been kind of discussed. Paris got this issue here where you know, we want to be able to give swag away to people who raise their hand and they say they want to own part of, like, they want to be in an owner's file, right? So yeah, what kind of pieces of swag could we have?
Aside from t-shirts and fidget spinners?
Aside from t-shirts and fidget spinners.
I mean, the idea was listed as like some kind of special patch. I mean, you could put like, just take the existing Kubernetes patch and so owner on the front of it. Done, you know?
That's actually, that's pretty good.
I mean, you'd have to figure out like color scheme and everything, but yeah, like that's it. I think that might work.
We've got in the chat, we've got face tattoos, but I'm not sure that's fake face tattoos or fake tattoos. Fake tattoos, Kubernetes stick-on tattoos. You know,
I don't know. I actually had fake tattoos made for a KubeCon US a few years ago. They weren't very popular.
No, the OKD tattoos didn't go over well with anything.
Yeah, but we also had ones that were just the Kubernetes logo, and they just didn't.
Yeah,
a lot of people took them. Nobody put them on.
Exactly.
I mean, any good sticker can easily be a fake tattoo as well. Just not a very good fake tattoo.
The if you have enough of them, they could be a.
If you have enough of them, it works great. Don't need to do any laundry. It's good.
Right.
Could we have like a Kubernetes like a ring? You know, you could I'm an owner, like I don't know. That's
oh wait,
mean like a
what if we got a Kubernetes ringtone where like
Kubernetes
has everything like
actually on a kind of silly pragmatic way, although this is probably would be too much budget. A pragmatic thing, honestly, would be to get branded YubiKeys.
Oh,
that would be cool
to use with their 2FA, right?
Yeah, that would be freaking awesome. Like I would get rid of.
I doubt. Yeah, I mean, but the issue is if we wanted to spend whatever it is, $45 an owner on this, it would require.
I mean, they have bulk discounts, but yeah, it's a lot of money.
Yeah.
Actually,
we discovered we discovered in San Diego why you shouldn't get the discount YubiKeys.
Oh, I remember seeing some initiative a while ago around YubiKeys in Kubernetes. So I think it was like with SIG leads or something. Or I need to kind of chime up on that. Maybe there might be some YubiKeys around. Is that the discount code that people are talking about? I'm not sure.
Yeah, I know, but I mean, this would be actually branded with, you know, something related to Kubernetes owner or whatever on it. I mean, it would be something special. It's just that I don't think the CNCF is going to allocate us that much money simply for asking. So it would need to be funded somehow.
I think if we kind of tandem this into like an initiative around kind of security and stuff, I think there is probably like, you know, something we should do, and we should at least kind of try get some of that budget. I mean, how many owners do we have? Can we scope that out a bit more, right?
I was going to say one thing we also have to determine is how are we defining owner here, right? Because there's an awful, if you include everybody who is the owner on one directory, that may only have 2 files in it, that's a lot of people. So it would, you know, if we're doing anything, we need to have criteria beyond does appear in an owner file anywhere. I mean, maybe we'd want to actually run the numbers, right? How many, you know, and the problem with running the numbers is we need some new way to compare it with. We need to decide a criterion for significant owner.
Well, I think one of the things with the like owners kind of file thing, so recently annual reports, having to do those, I think one of the parts was reviewing owners files. So we could, I think, yeah, that there's going to be like updates, or there's updates in the next couple of weeks. I don't kind of want to like start kind of getting into that weird judgy idea of judgy area of like how much of an owner are you kind of thing.
Well, but I mean, to give you an example, we're going to find that we've got a couple hundred people who are, well, I think we will, right? I'd want to actually see this number, but I have the sense that there are a lot of people who are, for example, they're listed as an owner in, say, an event directory for one event. That happened 3 years ago. So you know, or they're an owner file for sort of one web doc for a single document. Oh, they're not with main Kubernetes docs because it doesn't work like that. So we just kind of want to do a spot check on that and see what the numbers are, because if there's like 150 people who do fall under that category of they are an owner file of one directory that has no subdirectories, then we might want to reevaluate. If it turns out that's 10 people, then, you know, whatever.
Yeah, which kind of, we're at time at the moment, but it was lovely seeing y'all. You know, thank you very much, everyone, for like coming along to the call. Really appreciate it. And I really appreciate all the work that y'all have been doing to help out. Like, you know, it's a lot. So like, thank you, Laura, for like continuing on with like running the community meetings. I really appreciate it. Thank you, like Chris and just everyone. Like, yeah, it's been tough, you know, like, yeah, it's been, yeah, but we're gonna be good. Thank you very much, everyone.
Last thing, I made a mistake saying most of the content is present in the website, Kubernetes website. It is Kubernetes/community repository. Most of the content is present in Kubernetes/community repository. That's it. Sorry for the mistake. Yeah.
No worries. No, it's all good. Thanks, everyone. It's out.
See ya.
See ya.